We are on to the sell highs. Give me your 2 favorite sell highs. Go ahead, Heath. You're up.
I'm going to go with Dawson Knox, and I tweeted about this yesterday, so it really shouldn't surprise anyone, but he has 24 targets on the season. If he had just produced at the same rate of efficiency that Travis Kelce has for his entire career, he would currently be tight end 11. I don't think he's as good as Travis Kelce, probably. The role, other than one game, has just not been there for Dawson Knox. He had 4 targets most weeks. He's averaging, 5 per game almost, and he has 1 game with 8. I just think with Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs, there's not going to be enough targets for Knox to be anything more than a Robert Tonyan, which is possible, but not something you should bank on. And speaking of Robert Tonyan, Dawson Knox currently has a higher touchdown rate than Tonyan did last year.
I'll give a quick rebuttal. Sorry. I think that he's gotten more involved the last 2 games because 2 games ago he had 8 targets, was it? And last week he had 4, but Josh Allen only threw, I think, 27 passes, and there were 4 players who had 4 or 5 targets. So I feel like he's carving out a bigger role.
So do you? I think like Dave's Stephon Diggs by low goes hand in hand with this.
So I think we talked a lot about Knox on the stream last night, and it was like, do you buy? We had a poll question. Do you buy Dawson Knox? Yes or not yet? And I think it's both for me. I buy, and I feel like we probably all feel this way. Correct me if I'm wrong. I buy that he is a must roster and a must start tight end. I do not buy that he is a true difference maker like Darren Waller and Mark Andrews and whatnot. So I agree with your sell high, but I also think he's going to be good.
I don't know if he's going to be good.
Okay. I'm higher on him then. I think he's going to be valuable, but I don't think he's going to be a true week-to-week difference maker at tight end. Dave?
I think he's got the chance to be, and I think he's proven that over the last 4 weeks because he's scored at least 1 touchdown in each of those last 4 games. So if you've got him, you're not giving him away, but he is the type of player that you want to package with another player in a 2-for-1 deal where you get him off your roster and you upgrade at running back. Especially if you just lost somebody like Montgomery or Edwards-Helaire or Saquon and you need help there. So he's a trade chip for sure, but if your roster's healthy and you're doing fine and he's your tight end right now, he's very close to becoming a must-start tight end on a week-to-week basis and not like at the top of the streaming channel.
Heath, how many tight ends would you definitively take ahead of Knox rest of season?
So Kelce, Waller, Andrews, obviously. I would still take Hawkinson over Knox. I would still take Kittle over Knox. I would take Dalton Schultz over Knox. I would still take Noah Fant over Knox.
There's one more.
Gronkowski.
Kyle Pitts for sure.
Yeah.
Gronk.
I would take Gronk over Knox. And then there's a handful of guys that I think he's in the discussion. I'm not sure. But he's somewhere between tight end 9 and tight end 15 for me right now, rest of season.
Okay. Second sell high.
Man, I was really prepared for that first one, not as prepared for the second immediate sell high. I mean, Vigo Samuel, I think, is still an excellent sell high candidate just because Kittle's going to come back and his role is going to be more similar to what it was. And if Trey Lance does become the starting quarterback, that's not going to be great for Vigo Samuel.
Dave, do you agree on that? Because I think Garoppolo is going to be the quarterback. But yes,
I do too.
Would not be good. And Ayuk's nothing right now, and Kittle has to miss at least 2 more games. Is Debo still a sell high? Because you mentioned that last week.
Yeah, I think he's still a sell high candidate, but it's not a get him off my team type of sell high. It's somebody needs a wide receiver badly, and you give him Debo Samuel and you get a good player in return. The problem is that I think the overarching opinion on Samuel in fantasy is that people recognize this is a guy who can't keep up what he's been doing. So I don't know how high you could sell him for. Can you turn him into DK Metcalf? Probably not without throwing something in.
Would you do that at this point?
I think they're really close in value, to be honest, just because DK doesn't have Russell Wilson for at least the next 3
Can you
games.
turn Debo and Dawson Knox into Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, I think that's.
You might be able to do that.
I
Okay.
would very happily do that.
On to Dave's sell highs. Go ahead.
First sell high for me would be, well, let's get Heath fired up. Lamar Jackson, who is coming off of this amazing game.
You have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Coming off an amazing game, but he had 20 or fewer fantasy points in 3 of the 4 games prior. And I don't believe if he's necessarily a top 3 quarterback rest of season. If you want to call him a top 6 fantasy quarterback rest of the season, I completely agree. But I am a little concerned about what might happen here because we've seen it to begin the year. And Heath is going to say that he was unlucky in those first 4 games. I would say in the second half against Indianapolis, he was extremely fortunate to come through with the numbers that he got.
First factual disagreement. Lamar Jackson is one of 3 quarterbacks who does not have a game with fewer than 20 fantasy points, according to the weekly scoring in our FFT league. I'm looking at it right now. 20, 34, 21, 21, 49. That's in our FFT league, which is standard CBS scoring.
Then why am I in the league that you've got 20 and 19?
Yeah, I've got 19, 33.
Because you're looking at leagues that don't have decimal scoring, and that's really, really, really irritates
so I'll
me.
change my point.
He had a 20-point game. Fine.
What? He did have a 20-point
3
game. He had
games
2 21-point games.
Yes.
Thank you, Ben Schrager.
There it is.
This is a guy who was the number 1 quarterback in fantasy and the MVP in 2019. He's throwing for more than 300 yards per game. And amazingly, it's not impacted his rush attempts at all. He's still averaging 11 rush attempts per game. They've just stopped giving the ball to their bad running backs, and they're running the entire offense through him. He is one of 3 or 4 quarterbacks who legitimately could be the league-winning number 1 quarterback the rest of the season. And I would not give him up unless it was like a first or second round pick.
Okay.
Well, of course.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for when I say sell high.
Who's your second sell high, Dave?
I'm worried about the receivers in Seattle without Russell Wilson there. I think the values are down a little bit for DK and Lockett. Lockett was already proving to be a very flighty fantasy receiver, where he's like last game, he was very close. He should have had a good game, but he didn't. And it's 3 in a row for him where he hasn't. And so it feels very Tyler Lockett-ish how his season has gone. And now he doesn't have Russell Wilson, who's one of the best deep throwing quarterbacks at his disposal for 3 games, 4 games, 6 games, maybe the rest of the year if Seattle starts to lose out. So I might consider, especially with Lockett, getting what you can for him at this point.
Okay.
He's not a sell high as much as he might be just a sell.
Let me ask you about Metcalf. Metcalf or AJ Brown?
I've got Metcalf higher. That Brown's an interesting buy low.
I wish I knew what was going on with AJ Brown. I don't think we have any idea how healthy he is.
Yeah, he's on the worryometer. We'll get to him. So Metcalf. So who would you take, Heath?
I'd probably take Metcalf.
Okay. Metcalf or Calvin Ridley?
Metcalf or Ridley?
Ridley. Okay.